It's been a long time since our last meeting, so I hope everybody's been keeping well with COVID. So I'm just trying to think. Does anybody have anything else to add to the agenda? No, and you'll notice the agenda looks a little bit different because we were kind of transitioning to this new community development meeting. I just put a reminder of our mandate at the top of the agenda. Then we have our agenda items. And because we're going to delve a little bit more into the community development piece, I just put a list of items that often fall under the mandate of community development. So that's looking more at planning services, self-help groups, support and social action groups, building community networks, participating in interagency meetings, doing more of a needs assessment for downtown, increasing people's skill sets, resourcing the community to meet needs, improving quality of life, and moving more towards social justice and empowering individuals. So I think a lot of what we're doing in this committee is already addressing that, but just kind of a reminder as today we have a little bit of 2021 planning to do. I just wanted to plant that seed in the back of everybody's mind. As we go through the current agenda, I'm working up to a little bit of brainstorming. We're already doing a little bit of BIA membership education, and I think we really need to focus more on that. And that'll include the welcoming streets, more about what the backdoor mission's doing, and teasing out more of the BIA roles and responsibilities. I think we really need to develop some more knowledge sharing regarding urban poverty issues. And we really need to focus on a collaborative stance and taking a leadership downtown and helping to communicate and coordinate, just getting on board with others who are already doing this and bringing the BIA piece more to the forefront. And really, again, along with everything else with the BIA, really working on collaboration with business owners, downtown residents, and all the supports and services provided to the unsheltered population. It's a bit of a long spiel to get the meeting started, but I just wanted to preface why the agenda looked a little bit different today. Does anybody have any conflicts of interest to declare?
Cindy, I think we need to do a motion to accept the agenda.
Oh, apologies. Can I have a motion to accept the agenda, please?
I can move that.
Thank you. And
Sorry, and who's here from the mission? Just because we only have the
It's
organization
Leanne.
name.
It's
Okay, do you know
Leanne.
if Dan is joining us?
Sorry, who?
Dan Cullen.
Oh, no, he's not here yet.
Okay.
actually, Derek, that reminds me, I don't think, does everybody know everybody? Should we do a quick round table to introduce everybody? Because I know you have to leave relatively early, right, Derek?
At 9:29.
9:29, okay. Well, let's do a quick round table because I think this is going to be our core group, and I don't think maybe some of the students know who's present. So Angela, maybe your crew can start with just a quick introduction.
Sure. Well, everyone knows me, so I'm going to pass it on to Taylor.
Hi, I'm Taylor. I'm the Marketing and Communications Coordinator.
Okay, Peyton.
Hi there, I'm Peyton. I'll be doing events this summer.
And I'm Roger. I'm the Communications and Digital Media Assistant.
Until tomorrow, and then you become the volunteer coordinator.
Sure.
There,
Yes.
so both Peyton and Roger are our summer students.
Thank you, guys. Is Ivano here?
I am. How are you?
Good, thanks, welcome.
Thank you. Oh, sorry, Ivano. I think, well, I met Roger, and I think I met Taylor. Peyton, I haven't met you, so my name's Ivano.
And Ivana, you're the chair of the BIA. Kind of an important-
Yeah, amongst a bunch of other things. I'm the guy responsible. So when there's when there's blame to be dished out, it's me. It's my fault.
It's all good. And sorry, who did we have from the backdoor mission?
Hi, it's Leanne McDonald, Program Supervisor.
Excellent, welcome.
Hi, and I'm Derek Giberson. I'm here as the board president for the Backdoor Mission, but I'm also the city councilor for the board.
Thank you, welcome. And I think most of you guys know me, and I do apologize that the meeting's a little bit unconventional, but it's our first meeting back and a Monday morning, so bear with me and we'll get through it. Okay, so thank you, everybody. So we had the agenda approved. Anybody have any conflicts of interest to declare?
Okay, actually, we haven't had the agenda approved.
Oh, no, seconded?
Derek moved the motion, but we haven't had a second or carried.
I'll second it.
Thanks, Ivana. And thank you, Angela, for keeping us on track. So we'll move to item 4. Does anybody have any conflicts to declare? No. Okay. Did anybody get a chance to review the minutes who was present at the last meeting? I don't know if Ivana was there. Angela, do we have anyone other than myself who was there at the last meeting to?
I think Leanne and I were both there, unless there was one since then.
No, there wasn't one since then.
Okay. We have a motion to approve.
I'll move.
Thank you. And a seconder.
Leanne, that's going to have to be you. Has to be someone who was there.
No pressure, though. I don't know if I'm able to second it. Oh,
Usually a chair can't. Leanne, are you still there?
I don't think so.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, I was just on another call.
It's okay. Just need you to second the motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, seconded.
Thank you. All right.
I was just touching base with Daniel Cullen. He's going to join us shortly.
All right. So new committee members.
So, Cindy, can we maybe wait until Daniel comes in to do that one? Because other than that, there's no one new.
Okay, well, maybe we could have a little discussion if there's anybody else that we could invite or think might be
Sure.
helpful to join the committee. Now, I know, Angela, there was a gentleman who worked for vocational support services.
Yeah, Ryan, who
Ryan.
is no longer with the company. And I'm not sure if Megan was interested in being on any of the committees. So I will reach out to her.
Okay. Because I think if we're going to have any kind of vocational supports representation, that should be part of our mandate and objective. And I'm not sure if we have anything specifically directed towards that right now, because I know he came to, oh, go ahead.
We could also invite someone from the John Howard Society if you like. Because they also do vocational stuff as well, right? Just it's a different sort of focus. The other one was focused on accessibility, where John Howard is more sort of global.
Okay. I don't know, maybe backdoor mission people, I will turn it to you in collaborating with other community agencies. What's the best way to go about doing that, and how do we avoid duplication of representation, and how do we be inclusive without being exclusive?
How large do you want the committee to be?
Good question.
I would say getting over between 10 and 15 would be the max. Because otherwise then we're going to have way too many people, too many voices, and it's going to reduce what we can actually get done.
Yeah, even 10 is a bit big. Like if we go back to our agenda and kind of look at, I know we're going to engage in a larger discussion about the 2021 planning, so maybe this is a little bit premature, but if we are focusing more on looking at collaborating and networking, looking at the downtown community needs, more of a social justice stance. I know the Backdoor Mission, you guys are pretty much the key to downtown, because you also sit on a bunch of different committees working towards the same goal. So I don't know if that's a report you could bring back to us under your umbrella.
If we have time. How many, like what representation do you want in like the split in terms of social agencies and business and other like private organization representation? Because keep in mind that if the accusation can be made that this particular committee has been stacked with social agencies, then it may risk muting the impact of the recommendation sent up to the board.
Yeah.
So how do you identify people who are business owners or representatives who are going to pursue the same goals, but also be able to say that they're coming at it from a business point of view? I think that's pretty important.
Yeah, that's really good feedback. Thank you. And Angela, I'm wondering if you know of any business owners who have a vested interest in kind of more of the social justice piece. And
I can look at that, but yeah, like John Howard Society, CCRW, they are also members of the downtown, right? So these are also agencies that are BIA members, but also have a social service sort of focus as well. So they do have a vested interest. John Howard actually owns their building, so they're also property owners. CCRW has a lease. But we could also look at a few other places. It might be interesting to maybe get someone like Crazy Jacks or
yes. Yeah.
the museum, who have both had numerous issues, to have their perspective, and also as education for them as well, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking it might be really nice to extend an invitation to those, at least those two businesses, and if any others, we can brainstorm.
Actually, the funeral homes as well. MAC funeral home, and I asked them to be more vocal about the issues that they've encountered versus Armstrong. So having a representative from MAC at one of the meetings might be useful as well.
Perfect. So I can draft a letter for to invite a couple of businesses maybe to have those represented. Now, and that just actually reminded me, Derek, I think we reached out to your crew about finding an individual from the streets who might want to join the committee, so we can have a voice from their perspective as well, somebody who uses services or is connected to the mission. So I don't know if we can turn that on to you guys to see if anybody, if we can invite somebody from.
I mean, it's a challenge if they are currently transient, but someone like Dan has lived experience, so maybe he would be a good individual to have.
Okay. And sorry, is Dan, this gentleman joining us shortly?
Yes. Has anybody, does Kyle Cornick already sit on the BIA committee?
Events.
Events, okay. He would have been good for this. He has a pretty good social justice orientation. Maybe one of his business partners, Jessie, she has an education background, I think in social services or something like that.
Okay, we can reach out to them as well.
Okay. So then in summary, as far as potential new committee members, we'll reach out to John Howard and invite them. I'll draft a letter to go to a few of the local businesses, such as the funeral home, the museum, and Crazy Jacks, to invite them to see if they'd like to participate or how they can participate. We've got Dan, hopefully joining us. We'll loop him in the mix. And Jesse and they're from Brew Wizards, correct?
Yeah. Just one other note. I don't know what the angle has been, Angela, from the members that you mentioned that have had issues and are vocal about the issues that they're having, but let's try and make sure that we get people who are diverse in what their perspective is on that, not just that they're complaining about it, but that they can also be ambassadors for solutions as well too, and take it from a positive angle.
Yeah, no, when I say that they've had issues, when we were doing our weekly calls, when asked if there was anything that they've noticed or any issues, they would mention them. And not that they were calling all the time or something like that.
Okay.
And they are actually, have been doing things to, to combat whatever issues they were encountering.
Right.
So
Rosanna,
they
that
just
she
call them
comes.
negative.
Okay. Another one that just came to mind is Rosanna at Isabella's. She's been quite supportive of
Okay.
initiatives downtown and recognizes that there are challenges at the same time. So if you're looking for other candidates.
I've added her to the list.
So is there an opportunity to invite those sort of agencies that are sort of exploring addressing this issue, I guess, in isolation or individualistically? When I think of people like the Salvation Army or the Embassy or Feed the Need, I mean, they're all supporting, I guess, this group, the same stakeholder group downtown, but it seems like they're doing it using their own particular slant or their own individualistic approach. Is this a way to reach in and get them on a group think as opposed to the methods they're using today?
I don't find those ones to be as, they'll listen if the mayor or whomever calls and says, is there a way that you can modify your services? It's a couple of other ones that tend to be a little more rogue.
Well, and to Ivano's point, I guess maybe it's my ignorance, but I just kind of assumed there was already like a network, or I thought through WSI there was some kind of united force in downtown resources that were trying to coordinate services or enhance the coordination of services. Was that?
There's some of that. I wouldn't. So some of it happens at DAC at the region. Leanne knows more about that because she's the one that actually attends it, not me. But that's more of a regional scope. There have been informal conversations between stakeholders working in that domain in and around downtown and central Oshawa, but there's no formalized group.
Is that a role we should take on?
I think it would be more appropriate for the BIA to participate in such a thing rather than be someone taking care of it.
Okay. I guess the approach I was taking with it is, I thought the stakeholders we were trying to address have the same particular issues. The wellness of the downtown, albeit it could be the users of the services as well as the businesses who basically want to see this problem resolved or see this problem managed better. And the backdoor mission does its work, and Leanne, Derek, you guys do a great job with some of the pieces you're bringing to the table. But these other groups are still downtown doing their part of the business, and what I find is it's either not coordinated well enough in terms of being able to, like we said, match a particular need with support. And what they're doing is basically, taking care of one particular piece, which is, serving the homeless or the unsheltered with food.
Because that was a big thing, because I was kind of tasked with looking at the food trucks and very quickly realized that was a little bit of a hornet's nest to try to get involved with that, because everybody kind of has their different perspective and different mandate and different everything. So I kind of backed off of that, but I don't know like I understand the BIA's role, and I totally hear what you say, Derek, about us not taking the lead, but then we're kind of chipping away ad hoc at little pieces like the food trucks or like this or that. Because yeah, and Ivano, I agree with you too. It's like everybody's trying to do something to help, but it's not coordinated, and and being respectful of the tensions between organizations, and like I don't know the best way to navigate that moving
Well,
forward.
and I have a bird's eye view of the whole thing,
Yeah.
the craziness that goes on across the street from my window, and again, what you're seeing is a lot of people who are acting individually, trying to deal with supporting groups of people, and I think what's actually happening is they're countering the effects of what people are looking to do, which is get them the support, yes, but try to disperse the I guess I don't want to say the messiness, but the things that are going on in terms of congregated bunches. Memorial Park seems to be that place where everyone seems to want to congregate because people show up with meals, they line up on the street before the truck shows up. It's almost expected, but yet the aftermath of the issues that show up as a result of that, that truck comes in, does its thing, and then disappears and leaves behind 50 people to fend for themselves, and then have to get police and security in there and a whole bunch of other things. And I just think you've got one piece of the pie looked after, but the rest of the pie is still out there. I've watched clothing get dispersed and stuff like that, and it's not coordinated, I guess, is my point. There are better means to do that. I think, again, the Backdoor Mission does a great job. If you want to go there, and they'll help you out. I've seen the facilities there, rather than people just dumping it in the park and letting people fend for themselves. So
Well, is it within our mandate to lean on the Welcoming Streets initiative to lobby for them to have more of a?
Maybe I can jump in with some information. So everything that you're talking about right now has been identified both at the, call it, interagency level and at the political level, and there are ongoing discussions in trying to see what can be done. My suggestion is for that, the BIA's role is to talk to the leadership in the community, both political and agency, and inform them on what they're seeing.
I would disagree. I would disagree, Derek. It's like we're representing business. Business is getting tired. I'm business, right? I'm getting tired of it. I think it's counterproductive. I'm going to be in the camp of, get these guys off the street. Don't support them, right?
So what I'm saying,
people are getting fed up.
Yeah, no, I know. And what I'm saying, Ivano, is that everything that you're talking about in terms of it being problematic is what there are efforts ongoing to try and resolve and solve the particular types of instances that you're talking about. I'm just not sure that the BIA is the entity that's going to solve it. Now, certainly, I think that it can provide very worthwhile feedback and should be at the table at any sort of ongoing conversations about it, and where the BIA can play a role. But I guess what I'm trying to do is just to be a conduit for the information that it's something that we are well aware of, and there is active work going on to try and solve it.
Perfect. So how does the BIA get looped into that so we have a louder voice and can participate in that process? Because we didn't know this was going on, so I think it's important that we're included. Just to Ivano's point that like we need a voice too, because I'm siding with Ivano. Like I'm the most open-minded, supportive person, and I'm getting fed up as well. Like yeah. At that point.
So I would say have a conversation with the mayor and with your local councillors for the ward, and one of those three people will be able to bring you up to speed on what's happening.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, I was going
Go ahead,
sorry,
Ivano.
Cindy. I was just going to say, I'm driving in this morning on CBC. Oshawa's made the headlines. We're on, people are opining about all the issues we have downtown. including businesses. Bradley Marks was on. I mean, they're all good comments in the sense that they're real. Everybody's trying to do something to support it, but it makes it look like this problem is growing and getting worse than getting better. And my constituents, I look at the businesses side of it, it doesn't look good for us at all. That type of advertisement, even though it's action oriented, it doesn't seem to be doing its job. And so I think we're failing if we don't find ourselves higher profile in the mix to help push the resolution to these issues.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Okay, so I will get in touch with Mayor Carter. Derek, I can connect with you and Councillor Kerr to find out the best way that we can have a louder voice. And I think now that this committee is going to be structured slightly differently, we'll be better positioned to have representation and have a voice in that process, hopefully.
Matt, can you hear me? It's me, Mary Ann speaking.
I was going to say, my message here is to take it back to business, to say we're doing something organized that is working to alleviate what people are feeling and seeing. I just think now, right now, if we were to ask, and we're asking the question with Angela's putting the survey out there, I think if we were to ask, they would basically tell us we're not doing a good job. They're just seeing worse and worse problems, right? So that's my issue with respect to this committee, the BIA, and how it's doing relative to the business needs out there.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, no problem. I'll send it to you right now. Okay.
I'm not sure if there's feedback on somebody's line or if someone's trying to call in. Okay, good. Sorry, I was just getting distracted there. Okay, so.
Sorry, I'm going to have to step away. It's 9:29. I will watch for the minutes.
Yes, thank you so much.
Good chatting with everyone. Talk to you later.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Ivano, sorry, I was distracted a little bit by the chatter in the background. I just wanted to touch base with you about what you had just said. So you want to give the members feedback on something that we're actually progressively doing.
Yeah.
To show them. So it sounds like right now nobody knows what they're doing just yet, that they're working towards a solution. So would it be enough to say that we are lobbying and working to get in and have a voice in the process of what's currently going on to address?
I think so. I think we've got to do something a little more. I mean, you're seeing it, I'm seeing it on my side here. I think our survey is going to tell us loud and clear that they're not happy with what's going on in terms of some of the things downtown. And, you know, we're going to invite businesses that are going to be vocal around that table. Part of it is help them understand what is going on. And the other part of it is to help them have a voice at the table. It may be the voice of unreason, I guess, in terms of some people might say, hey, I'm fed up with it, get rid of it. But I think that's our role, is to give them a voice at the table and go, well, they're part of either the problem or solution, and they're at the table with us.
Okay. And so that reminds me of two things. One thing is on our agenda, I'm wondering if we can put the backdoor mission as a standing agenda item as an update to what's going on. They seem to be really progressive and things are changing. So I'm not sure if they'd be comfortable with that or if that makes sense to everybody. And the other agenda item might be communications, because I think community development is all about communicating to our membership what's going on and whatnot. Because I know when I said, letting our membership know that we're trying to lobby to get in on these coordination services, the Marketing Communications Committee, we're doing a lot of internal and external communication changes. And I'm planning on sending out an email to the membership saying, we heard you, this is what we're working on to change. So letting them know that we're lobbying to get in on the issue with the unsheltered population and whatnot would also slide into that. I know everything on the board dovetails with each other, but I think right now communication with our membership is key. Community development under the mandate that I've kind of put it under with social justice is really key. So I think really pushing that communication and that transparency with the membership is really important. So I was wondering how you guys felt about putting backdoor mission on as a standing agenda item, as well as communications and what we're doing to communicate with our members. Does that make sense to everybody, or was I just really verbose?
I was just going to say, I mean, I'm happy to highlight backdoor mission. Communications, I agree. I'm happy to highlight backdoor mission, but it's just like, you know, are we favoring one group over another? They're doing a great job. I mean, they're there at the table. Along the lines of coordinating, you know, I'm not. Maybe it is backdoor's missions
Well,
contribution.
we don't have anybody on the agenda to tell us what's going on as far as coordination of services go. Like there, I don't know where to put it, or if someone can speak to it generally, or a different person each meeting, but we need to know who's trying to coordinate what, where they're at, and how that's going. I mean, maybe that'll change once. I mean, I'm taking on, I have to be cautious because I'm taking on quite a bit lately, but I was like, I'll volunteer to go talk to the mayor and sit on whatever committee. Like we need somebody, we need representation and communication back and forth. Cause I mean, we didn't know, you know, when Derek said there's people working on it, well, we didn't really know that. I had assumed it was already being done. So how do we get that discussion going at this meeting? What's the best way?
So
Yeah.
just from the backdoor missions perspective, initially there were two, I'll just speak to it briefly, but there were two groups that were looking at trying to coordinate services and trying to help with the solution with the homeless population in the downtown core. And one of them being the GAP committee, but the focus has sort of changed where they're looking at getting the voice of the unsheltered individuals and getting them on board to try to find solutions to the situation. And then the other committee was the Spirit of Service Committee, which was the faith-based organizations that were getting together and again trying to do the same thing but from a different angle. Both of those organizations have sort of gone on, taken on different roles now, so they're not actually coordinating services anymore. So currently, everybody is continuing to act independently from what we can see here at the Backdoor Mission. So there's really no coordinated services happening. And a lot of times when we've brought up this conversation with other agencies, they may not necessarily agree with the manner in doing it. So they've just decided to go off and do their own thing anyway. And I think this is what Derek is alluding to. So it's come to the point where some agencies are not necessarily wanting to follow a common interest and mandate and therefore continue to carry on their own services.
Well, can we lean on the Welcoming Streets? Like to me, Welcoming Streets that's their mandate, was to coordinate services, connect people with services. Like I guess I'm kind of in shock that this kind of fell apart, especially considering the problems.
Well, I was going to ask the same thing. Yeah, I was going to ask, is there anybody from Welcoming Streets online that can maybe speak to this and coordinating the access?
Unfortunately not.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I guess I've seen the updates and they're certainly doing the outreach and working. And this is the issue is, you know, there are times where Caria on Welcoming Streets is parked on one side of Metcalfe while the Embassy or Salvation Army is parked on the other side, both providing services to the unsheltered. Again, everyone's trying to do the right things based on their own particular strategies or their own particular approach. Unfortunately, the businesses are feeling the effects of that, which is, you know, it's allowing this congregation and uncontrolled byproduct after the fact. I mean, when they disappear, they're there for an hour or two. When they disappear, you know, the comedy of errors that exists is just overwhelming. I mean, now the police are hanging around the park, which is fine, trying to control it, but they disappear at some point too. I mean, essentially what you're doing is you're doing your little bit by providing that support and then disappearing while everyone recognizes, oh, you go get support over here, and it shows up with a bunch of people. The whole social distancing thing is just a joke, even with the big city sign that sits in the park. I mean, there's 40, 50 people in there at any one time, you know, congregating in groups of 10 or 15. it's almost like the park or the downtown has become the place where everyone congregates. And we, in my mind, we got to stop the mentality of everybody shows up here to do their little sliver of support and then going off somewhere else to live their own lives and then leaving the fallout behind. It's not successful, especially for businesses. And I think we're going to hear it from business that says this is a problem that needs more attention.
And I
Okay.
think, Angela, this is where Derek had said in his email, is I really think we need to educate people that doing what Ivana was saying is not the solution. There's a lot of good intention, but at the same time, it's not necessarily the solution because there are established agencies who are already providing that service. So there's a lot of duplication of service happening. I think people need to be educated that they should partner with other agencies so that we are much more effective in how we do this.
Mhm.
Leanne, how does that voice get there? I mean, we can talk to Dan and we can do a bunch of things, and it looks like we're just belly aching about, things not getting better, which is true, but to some extent, it's the business voice back to whoever is the quarterbacking of this particular approach.
Why don't we put out a position statement?
Absolutely. Like we've got to talk on behalf of business to go, look, we're not against the homelessness. We're not against supporting people. What we're finding is everybody's individualistic support is promoting the problem, which is they leave behind a group of people that essentially just, run around downtown because there's nothing better to do after everybody disappears, when everybody goes home at the end of the day. The only one that stays open is the Backdoor Mission, but not everybody knows that. Not everybody gets there, and they only spend so much time there. Then they get turned away to go back downtown, and it's showing up in the businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't I draft a really, I can touch base with people offline, but draft a really strong position statement on behalf of the businesses and membership, stating that and that, we would like to see better coordination. Like we need it, better coordination of services, and really, I'm not the most politically savvy person. I don't know how many feathers that would ruffle, but I think it would bode well on behalf of the businesses who are fed up to say, like, this is kind of what we need, what we're seeing, what we want, and really stand behind it.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. At least our businesses, our constituency thinks they're being looked after or heard. At least they believe that somebody's got a voice there, and it's a tough place to be because it looks like it looks like to some extent we're against the homeless, and we're not. The issue is it's just not coordinated well enough. I mean, Leanne, you've seen it. They show up downtown and then they set up tent city between United Church and the Backdoor Mission, and Andrew and his team have to be running around sort of making sure those people disappear. They disappear for a while, then they come back. I mean, it's the volume issue that we basically densify an area and then everybody disappears who support that group, and they leave behind this volume of people that have nothing else to do but hang around downtown.
Well, it's so true. And the unfortunate part is there's nowhere else for them to go.
Mm-hmm.
They keep getting moved from place to place, and they're going to stay wherever they can until they get moved on to the next location.
Well, and that's where, okay, I get it. The region is looking at putting public housing and the city's working on that. But in the meantime, we can't, like, if I were a business, I go, I don't want to be ground zero for all of them to show up. Make ground zero somewhere else. And that's what we were hearing at the very beginning. It doesn't solve the problem, but it doesn't help me to go, hey, ground zero's downtown, show up here, and while we build housing and everything else. People are not going to stand for that in business.
Well, and I think, sorry, and I know we're taking a lot of time on this topic, which I think is valuable, but we are not the only urban center to be dealing with this. There's got to be innovative ideas. Like I guess everybody is so busy kind of putting out the fires that they're tasked with that nobody's looking at the bigger picture or reaching out or looking at innovative strategies. And maybe that's on the BIA to bring forward, to say, like, this is what other towns, like, we're not alone in this. There's got to be things that can be done or people are doing or trying, or things that have worked that we can model after. It just doesn't seem like anybody's kind of following up that thread of thinking. So.
Well, and it's a good point, Cindy. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, the CBC article this morning, I don't know if everybody heard it, but it was, it was essentially the city getting private security firm spending $100,000 to deal with this issue against the public support group that are saying, the $100,000 could be used in mental health and a whole,
Yeah.
like it's almost like we're trying to, I can hear Dan probably saying, I'm trying to deal with the security and homelessness and lawlessness problem by getting security in there and not burdening police. But at the same time, he's being criticized by people who need the money to go do it in mental health, do it in a bunch of other areas rather than keeping downtown safe. And again, it makes it look like we're the center of attention on a real bad storyline.
And again, I think it speaks to the importance of having a longer term strategy and how that piece would have fit into the longer term strategy. But everybody, and I'm not throwing the city of Oshawa under the bus, but everybody's just putting out fires right now. And maybe the BIA can be part of a more comprehensive longer term plan. But anyway, okay.
I like your point. It is a very reactive approach and a very put out the fire because the fire's in front of us approach. But yeah, somebody's got to have a bigger picture and a bigger plan at play for sure.
Okay, so for the sake of time, I just looked at the agenda. I think that was the acceptance of new committee members. So it was nice because I think we covered off quite a bit of the 2021 planning. So we'll just sit with these thoughts and summarize them in the 2021 planning because I think we actually did our planning. So moving on to item number 7. Welcoming streets. We don't have a representative here now, but I did touch base with Haley. She gave me a rundown. I'll just pull up that document, sorry. If I can find it. Oh dear. Okay. The city council approved the extension of the 100,000 as we just discussed for the private security in downtown. I don't know, Ivano, have they been in touch with you at all?
The city?
No, Canadian Protection Services?
No, they haven't. I know I do see Andrew. I do a bit of a walkabout. Sometimes I catch him down in your place, Leanne. He's just sort of getting his new guys onboarded in that area. I didn't necessarily speak about anything in particular, just asked him how it's going. So he hasn't reached out yet to talk about what he's doing.
Okay. The only interesting thing I can add from a business perspective is apparently they need each business to sign a waiver. So that they can go on the property and or speak with individuals or something. So that was a layer of complexity that I hadn't thought of. So.
Well, that's interesting because, yeah, I guess we could have put the heads up in our BIA newsletter. I don't know if Angela did it or not, but I didn't realize that. He didn't ask me to do that. I don't know if he's asked somebody on our team to do that.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. It was something I hadn't thought of. So. So that's the private security. I don't know if they've officially started and I don't know, maybe Angela, if that's something you feel the membership would want more information on. I mean, I'm clueless. I knew they were hired. I don't know. I mean, I still call the police regularly because I don't have a contact number for Canadian Protection Services to contact them instead of the police. So I know they're supposed to be patrolling. And then I was thinking, well, I hired my own private security. So am I excluded from CPS services because they know I have somebody else? So I feel there's a little bit of a lack of communication around the services they're to provide. Is there a statement or anything that has been provided?
No.
I don't know what the scope is. Yeah.
Nothing's been provided yet. I'll reach out to Andrew and find out more about the waiver. Because maybe we can help them out, send it out to the businesses and through email, but also as we're out there walking around, we can also stop in at the businesses and ask them if they're interested and if they'd like to sign the waiver, and we could collect them for Andrew for at least the one we personally visit.
I'm like, okay, so this is, I'm a little bit miffed. I don't want to use BIA resources to help CPS do their job when they're getting funded by the city to do that. So I think it's a great collaborative, effort on our part. Maybe we could distribute the waivers, but I don't want to use our time collecting them for them. I don't know how the group feels. I feel strongly about protecting our limited resources right now. Secondly, there's also a big gap. I think we should send out an information snippet to our members stating CPS has been hired. You can expect XYZ, or call them in this situation instead of the police. But there's zero communication between the business in the city. The city hired CPS to help you know, the businesses and help maintain order downtown, but we don't know what they're doing, when they're starting, what their hours are. Do we contact them instead of the police? So I don't even know who to get in touch with from the city to find out what the scope is or what their mandate is. So anyway, sorry, I'm a little bit opinionated on that if I came across strong. And I know,
Nope.
Angela, you were going to address the resource utilization.
No, you're right on, Cindy. I think from that perspective is to go, yeah, a little bit miffed the city didn't really come to us to say, hey, we're doing this for the downtown, not only for the residents, but the businesses. Like, they were kind of silent. They didn't ask our opinion. I wouldn't say I disagree with them, but to your point, yeah, if Canadian Protection is hired to do the job, they've got to do the legs on the street and collect the forms and whatever. I think it's weak of them not to contact us to go, hey, you know, can we use your communications media to basically let everybody know this is what's happening? So, I mean, it's nice that we could say we've been consulted, we agree, we support, and therefore, you know, sign off on the form. But I have no idea what that form allows them to do, or if we've even looked at it.
Yeah. And Angela, I cut you off. Sorry, like 5 minutes ago.
No, that's okay. When I was saying that we would go to the businesses, I'm referring to if we're going to see a business about something else, or we're stopping in to get lunch, not necessarily going out of our way. But there's a lot of businesses that I know that probably, you know, won't read the email, or, you know, they don't read it till like 2 or 3 weeks later. But if I see them, like for prime example, Benny from Subway, I asked him if he had seen our latest update, because there was something really pertinent for the businesses in there. And he's like, oh no, I've stopped reading them. And I'm like, dude, read it, because there's information in there that you need. So sometimes it's spurring them to remind them that, you know, we're not just sending stuff for sending it. We're actually sending information that's relevant to them, right?
And I think, and I'm guilty of that too, I think we need to change gears, because when you guys send out the email COVID update, I delete it automatically. I don't even open it because I'm like, I'm COVID saturated. I don't even care anymore. And then the one I did open had the survey link and it had something else in it. And I was like, oh, I just kind of thought it was like a COVID update. So I'm wondering if it's time now to change the title of those emails. Because I think similarly, a lot of people are like COVIDed out and not paying as much attention to them. So if we're sliding other things under that subtitle or that title, they're not going to look at it.
Well, and I would agree with you there. You know, when I go through it, the very bottom of that email is just regurgitated contacts listing. I mean, I think you're right. The time is now that there's less daily updates on COVID and more, here's what you need to know as part of the business in downtown, whether it relates to COVID or some of these other things that we're doing, or both. But there's some stuff that should transition out to the website, I think. And I think we push people there to go, keep going to our website to get the latest updates for whatever links you need or whatever support programs, and organizing the website in such a way that yeah, hey, you need COVID support, here's the program list. You know, find a way to get the people onto the website to pull that information at their own demand, at their own time. We keep pushing it out, and I think you're right. People are just getting tired of being pushed out information, and there's a lot of it. So it's getting lost in it. So to your point, people are not finding those helpful, I think, anymore. So.
And I'm wondering if we can toss it over to the communications and marketing group to say, maybe we'd be better suited to send out more emails under specific titles. So to say, you know, annual survey as one, and then security downtown update. Like, make the titles of the emails really specific and have more emails. So if it's not of interest to me, I won't delete it. But I think when we have like a general title and then we list a number of items under it, people aren't gonna, like, if I was interested in the CPS services and it was subtitled under downtown update, like, I might not click on it to read it. But anyway, that we can toss that back to the communications and marketing group as something to consider. Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
I agree. I think that's a handoff that's good, and Taylor and Roger and the group are there to basically get this feedback and work with that team for sure.
Yeah, we're actually changing it from, from daily, we've changed it to twice a week, and we're considering changing it down to once a week. And we will change the title. And Taylor will talk to Miles about transitioning some of the stuff onto the website.
Yeah, I think that point's well taken. I think, you know, these catch-all emails are probably not serving us any justice right now. And we need to be very, very tailored and focused on some of the emails so people know what's going in there as opposed to trying to catch everything in one place. Yeah, that's an effective strategy when you have something like COVID at the very beginning. But now, you know, what are our top 3 things? I think the downtown security is 1. I think, you know, business reopening is 2 in terms of the resources that are there, not COVID, just reopening. And I don't know, the survey will tell us what the top 3 things are. So we'll at least pay attention to that. And that should be the focus of the emails when they come out.
The other thing that you guys might not be aware of is the COVID updates come out through SurveyMonkey. And I think more what Cindy was saying was just the emails. Oh, sorry, Sarah here. Oh, sorry, MailChimp. And the other emails I send out, which are more specific generally. Just so you know that there's 2 different target groups, because the COVID ones through the MailChimp go out not just to our members, but to general public.
Perfect. And I'm kind of giggling in my head because we just had that discussion under the Welcoming Streets update. So we are scattered, but that's how we work. And I just noticed that Dan joined us, and I was wondering, hi, Dan, nice to meet you.
Hello.
Maybe say a few words, and maybe we can go around quickly and introduce ourselves again so Dan knows who's on the line.
All right, I'm Daniel Cullen. I don't know what to say. I'm just, I'm a passionate advocate for the homeless, co-chair of the GAP committee, assistant director at New Life Neighborhood Center. Well, whatever, I'm a bunch of things. Hello, everybody.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us. Angela, can your crew do a quick introduction again for Dan?
Sure. I'm Angela Matoni. I'm the office manager for the Downtown Oshawa BIA.
Hi there, I'm Taylor. I'm the marketing and communications coordinator.
I'm Peyton. I'm the events coordinator.
And I'm Roger, the communications and digital media assistant.
Hello. Okay.
Ivano?
Hi, I'm Ivano Labrachosa. I'm with the BIA as the chair, and I'm also at Oshawa Power and a couple of other hats that I wear as well. So thanks for joining us, Daniel.
Yes, thanks for the invite. I got.
Thank you. And Leanne, I guess Daniel and you're well acquainted.
Yes, we are. Thanks for joining us, Daniel, and I apologize for the last minute notice.
Okay.
So we're glad you can join us. Thank you so much. And you're going to be a regular standing committee member, right?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining the team. Okay, so just to tie up the Welcoming Streets update, so that was the security. The city is working diligently on portable washrooms. There will be 10
Yes.
to access. So apparently there's no official date, but Mark had indicated it would be shortly. They don't have an exact location, but it's likely to be close to City Hall. So I don't know if there's been an update since then, but that's something that's in the works. There are currently now 4 people working with the Welcoming Streets team. There's 2 outreach workers, a harm reduction worker, and an Indigenous outreach worker. And that was the Indigenous outreach worker was funded through another grant through CARIA. Now, Haley is still working on a job posting to bring a Trent student on board. They'll work with Kyle and Sue, and that's in regards to CARIA's data. And they want to develop tools that can be scaled across the businesses to promote the program, how to access it, and to share stories. They're proposing that student starts in September, and she's currently developing roles and responsibilities. So I don't know if that's something we want to spend time on providing her with some feedback or suggestions from the BIA, or she's going to touch base with us. But that maybe I'll flag that as to what she might need from a business perspective to include in the roles and responsibilities. And apparently Haley is also working on developing a communication that can be sent through the BIA to the membership to speak to the program's success areas and focusing on things that they did during COVID. And that's going to go to Ivano and Angela for review and feedback before it's shared. Any other comments, questions, or feedback on Welcoming Streets? Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Cindy, just the only thing and I think Haley's addressing it with the student, they certainly have done the volume piece. They get involved and they're definitely out there engaging all kinds of folks. Maybe not as much business as it is the unsheltered group, but they are touching base with people. What I think is the weakness is to try and describe how they are helpful, the quality aspect of the program. Because I think it's being lost in the volumes issue. The whole volume of events and things have just gone through the roof. And so I think Welcoming Streets is going to look bad in terms of being an ineffective program, when in actual fact, they're trying to communicate how effective they are by putting the numbers out there. So they're dealing with the quality piece. And I think Haley's going to try to tease that out of the data or whatever they're collecting based on that work the student's going to do. So hopefully they come out with that sooner, and that could dovetail in communications.
Yeah, because I do agree. We don't know what their deliverables are or what the outcome of what they've done is. And I know I've raised with a few different people my concerns over handing out a popsicle the same as like handing out a hygiene kit. They each count as one item that they've handed out. So, you know, I think helping them and communicating their successes in a more meaningful way other than numbers will benefit everybody. So that shift is hopefully happening.
It's the intangibles that you can't count that are very important when you're handing out the popsicles and the hygiene kits, because the social reattaching yourself to some sort of form in the community and being touched again with the norms of society somewhat by having the hub place where you guys hand out the popsicles and hand out the hygiene kits. So that's an intangible that you can't count by numbers, but when you see the quality of the change that happens because the Welcoming Streets does their work and their faces are known and the trust and it has been established, that's an uncountable, but it's vitally important.
Yeah, and maybe the student can work on more of the qualitative piece and touching base with people who have benefited from the services.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, so moving on to item number 8. Angela, I'm going to pass this over to you. So it's the Ramp Accessible Downtown update.
Okay, so we had a Trent student working with us, and with that, she did a Google search, basically the Street View, looked at businesses, and then her and I actually walked around and took some measurements, some preliminary measurements, and decided, you know, some of the businesses, there's just no way we could do a ramp. And then she was working on trying to find local sources to have them made and different types of material. We do have the one grant for $10,000. We did get 2 grants for events that can be, once I write the letter, can be changed for accessibility, as long as we can argue that it will help for tourism and businesses, which is not difficult. I've been holding off on doing that because I know that Cindy sent a request to Kyle, because in the board meeting, Kyle identified that there were some concerns from the city. And I know Cindy has been trying to meet with him so that we can address the concerns. And that's about it. So it's like we're going to stand still until I hear the go ahead.
Yeah, and I spoke to Sue actually about Kyle. And I'm like, is Kyle really busy? Because I've sent literally half a dozen emails and I've left a voicemail, and she was like, just leave it with me. And I haven't heard back from her either. So I'll follow up with Sue and try to find out what's going on. So I'll do that today, Angela, and hopefully hear back from her. She's pretty responsive, so. So thank you for that update. Okay, item number 9. So this is 2021 planning. So we had a really good discussion around stepping up the BIA's role in advocacy, in getting involved and getting connected, and a louder voice representing the businesses. So there's like a little quasi plan there I can write up in a little better detail for circulation. Angela, I know this has to do with budgets and whatnot as well. So I'm wondering, from your perspective, the 2021 planning, where you saw the budget going, what the discussions were last year, and if there's anything we're missing or need to consider or have further discussion on as far as the planning goes.
Well, I think if we're looking at maybe expanding the RAD program or other programs similar to that, we should put some that. We should also consider, if we're doing advocacy planning stuff, is that going to have a dollar value to it, right? You might want to do a pamphlet and a mail out. We might want to do signage. We might want to do stuff on social media that we could post for. So those are sort of the considerations that we need to think about. It doesn't have to be a huge amount, but I think putting a dollar value onto, you know, because we don't know what we're exactly doing yet. We don't know if there's a cost. And just account for any sort of cost that there could be. And, you know, within the next month or so, as things progress, we get a better idea of what we want to do, is the cost, and how to lay it out a bit better.
When do we have to have those budget numbers into the finance committee?
I believe it's usually, they keep changing their date. So I'm going to, like when I first started, it was end of October, and the last I heard it was like beginning of September. So I don't know for this year, I haven't heard yet. But I would say probably around, if we go on last year's, they wanted the beginning of September.
Okay. I'm wondering, Taylor and Roger, I don't know what's on your plate. Is it an option for either of you or both of you to look into what other urban centers are doing regarding communication in the unsheltered populations in downtown from a social media perspective, and how other BIAs or other downtowns, even gosh, in the States or internationally, are somehow getting the message out about being collaborative and inclusive regarding this issue? Is that something you could poke around and look around a little bit about, or are you guys pretty much maxed out with your time doing other things?
No, it's definitely something we can look into. I know right off the bat that it's not something we see much of, but it's definitely worth taking a deeper look at.
Yeah, because maybe we could be the early adopters in that and come out of the gates and create our own strategy to, you know, really connect communities a little bit better. If you guys can come across any innovative ideas or anything that triggers you to think of something cool we might be able to do from a social media perspective in regards to advocacy.
Of course.
Let's be forerunners. We'll break the molds.
I think that if they're looking at that maybe they should be looking at communities in general to see what sort of programs or what other communities are doing, and then report back, so that we have not just the social media aspect of it, but maybe what the community itself is looking at in a whole.
Yeah, brilliant. And Angela, you even said like different signages. Maybe we need, we can be creative around signages. I know even the LGBTQ community and the rainbows, you know, safe spaces and stuff like that. Like, what can we ramp up to be more inclusive and community oriented? So if that's okay to delegate that to you guys, if you don't mind having a look around and brainstorming and thinking what really, you know, progressive ideas we can come up with is in creating a sense of community and advocacy, that'd be awesome.
Yep, we can look at that.
Perfect. So I think that's a good start. I don't think we have to have all the answers for 2021 right now. We'll have another meeting in August where we can bring this stuff back and maybe assign more of a budget number to it and review what we've proposed to see if there's anything missing. Leanne or Daniel, from your perspective, is there any kind of advocacy budget or any monies that you see the BIA spending in places that would have a big impact?
I'd have to put some thought to that.
Perfect. Yeah. So if you guys don't mind, maybe giving that some thought or asking your colleagues, and you can bring that feedback to the August committee meeting, that would be really helpful.
Sure. Okay. I'll meet with Daniel and we'll talk about it and we'll get back to you then.
Perfect. Thank you. Are there any other comments or anything anybody wanted to clarification on or give feedback on before we adjourn? Or is there any new business anybody wanted to table? No? Okay, well, before we adjourn, I just really wanted to extend a sincere thank you to everybody. I really enjoyed this meeting. I think we're getting down to the meat and potatoes of things. I mean, we're getting a plan together. I think we're being more aggressive, representing the businesses in a little stronger way and in a new way, getting more involved in the advocacy piece. I really appreciate everybody's contributions and honesty and problem solving. So I enjoyed this meeting and I look forward to more productive collaboration.
It was nice being here.
And thank you. Yes, thank you to our new member.
Yay, standing on the committee.
Excellent.
Motion to adjourn, Cindy.
Yes, I was just going to say if there's nothing further. Oh, Ivano, you're pretty anxious there to adjourn.
Yeah, the 4 cups of coffee I already had before this meeting are coming to roost.
Excellent. Do we have a seconder?
I can second that.
Perfect. Thanks, Leanne. All right, everybody. Thanks again for coming out, and I look forward to the next meeting. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you. You as well.
Take care. Bye-bye.